students. So today we will start with your proper syllabus. ನಾನು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ನ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಥಿಯರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾನು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಯು ವಿತ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ 8, that is late embryonic development, early embryonic development, and I will be starting with unit 9, late embryonic development. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ ಅನಾಟಮಿ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಬಯಾಲಜಿ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ಟಿಬ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್, ಓಕೆ, ಅದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಬಯಾಲಜಿ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ, ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅ ಝೈಗೋಟ್, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಹಿಯರ್ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯಾನಿಕ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಲೇಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಯೋರ್ unit 9. The topic is, in that part 1, implantation of embryo. You will study the implantation and process of implantation. So late embryonic development unit 9 ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಏನೇನು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, implantation of embryo and hormonal control in humans, you will study this. And then formation of human placenta and its function. So then basic types of placenta. In that there is yolk sac placenta, allantois, deciduate and non-deciduate, and types of placenta on the basis of histology. You will study those different types again. Then metamorphic events in case of frog life cycle, you will study that. Then hormonal control of amphibian metamorphosis. So to start with implantation of embryo in humans, this is the first part. So what is implantation? In humans, embryo reaches the uterus. Okay, you know what is human embryo and what is uterus. ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ ರೀಚಸ್ ದ ಯೂಟ್ರಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟೋಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. ಸೊ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ ಯೂಟ್ರಸ್ಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟೋಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೆರ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಝೈಗೋಟ್ embryo. Like first for zygote ಆದಮೇಲೆ there are 2 cell stage, then 4 cell stage ಇರುತ್ತೆ, then 8 cell stage, 16 cell stage ಅಂತ ಈ ಥರ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ 32 cell stages ಈ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. then next to blastocyst ಅಂತ, this is the next stage. Okay, so like this there are many stages, and in this particular stage, that is blastocyst stage, embryo will enter into the uterus. Okay, you know what is uterus? ಗರ್ಭಕೋಶ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ. Okay, so then it becomes attached to the uterine wall. Okay, it will reach to the uterus and then it will embedded inside the uterine wall. Okay, it takes place about 7 days after fertilization. Okay, after the fertilization, you know what is fertilization? It is the process of fusion of male and female gametes, that is sperm and the egg, and that process is called as fertilization. Okay, after 7 days of fertilization, the blastocyst stage is formed, and this will go and embed inside the uterine wall of the uterus. Okay, so the process, so you know uterus is having 3 layers: outer, endometrium, myometrium and perimetrium. So usually perimetrium is the outer one, and myometrium is the middle one, and endometrium is the inner one. Like this. Then the process by which blastocyst is attached to the uterine wall is called implantation. Or implantation is the process by which developing embryo is brought into intimate relation with the uterine endometrium. Endometrium is the innermost layer of the uterus, so that it can derive its nourishment or the nutrition from the mother. Why this is done is for the derivement of the nourishment from the mother into the baby. Okay, implantation is really the adhesion of the trophoblast. Trophoblast is the outermost layer of the blastocyst of the embryo to the uterine wall. So the adhesion occurs selectively where there is maternal blood vessels beneath the uterine epithelium. Okay, adhesion ಎಲ್ಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ where there is maternal blood vessel, where the blood vessel of the mother is present, below the uterus, below the uterine epithelium, that is outer covering of the epithelium. By this attachment, the maternal blood diffuses into the embryo. By this attachment, what happens is the blood of the mother will diffuse inside the embryo. Diffuse in the sense, diffuser, movement of the material, molecules from one place to another, from mother to the baby, the blood will diffuse. Okay, next. So process of implantation, how the process, there are many steps for that. We'll see the step each one by one. Okay, first point is the blastocyst comes out of zona pellucida and remain in uterine cavity for about 2 to 3 days. Okay, so that is zona pellucida is the outer covering. Okay, Graafian follicle in the outer covering, allinda bandu it will be there in uterine cavity for 2 to 3 days. Then blastocyst attaches itself to the innermost layer of the uterus, that is endometrium. The outer layer of blastocyst is called as trophoblast. It produces the proteolytic enzyme. What are proteolytic enzymes? Proteo means protein, lytic means digesting. Protein digesting enzymes are being secreted by the trophoblast of the blastocyst, which this dissolves the endometrium at the point of the attachment and make a depression. What would it do is, ಎಂಡೋಮೆಟ್ರಿಯಮ್ ಹತ್ರ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ಡೈಜೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಎನ್ಸೈಮ್ಸನ್ನು ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಡಿಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಥರ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, the trophoblast layer then get attached to the endometrium, okay, and the inner cell mass gets differentiated as the embryo. Outer layer will go and attach itself to the endometrium, and inside the outer layer, that is trophoblast, there is a cell mass, and that cell mass will differentiate into an embryo. The blastocyst sinks into a pit formed in the endometrium and then gets completely buried in the endometrium that grows around it. Okay, it will sink complete again, ಒಳಗಡೆ enter ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, and then it is deeply buried inside and then grows inside. Okay, after the blastocyst buried in the endometrium, it develops small finger-like projections known as villi all around the blastocyst. Okay, small finger-like projections will develop. This helps in the absorption of the nutrients from the mother. Okay, this establishes a parasitic relationship between the embryo and the uterus. Uterus is a part of mother's reproductive part. Okay, then later the embryo projects into the uterine cavity and loses villi from the free surface. Later what happens is, it enters inside the cavity. From the endometrium, it will again enter inside, still inside. When it enters inside, when it is in the cavity, it will loses its villi from the free surfaces. Okay, villi will be lost. Then after the implantation, the trophoblast of the blastocyst, that is the outer layer of the blastocyst, develops embryonic membranes or fetal membranes. This will develop the membranes. There are 3 membranes. One is amnion, chorion, allantois and yolk sacs. 4 membranes. Okay, yolk sac is the inner part. Amnion, chorion, allantois and yolk sac. Amnion is the innermost fetal membrane, which is filled with the amniotic fluid. Chorion is the outermost fetal membrane, which develops into the chorionic villi in the placenta. Okay, what is placenta? Placenta is the physiological connection between the mother and the fetus. It helps for the process of passing of the oxygen, then nourishment, then excretory products, okay, from mother to the embryo and from embryo to the mother, as well as the blood is passed. Okay, then allantoin and yolk sac. What are these two? These form the umbilical cord from the fetus uterus. These two form the umbilical cord. Okay, and amnion is the innermost layer, chorion is the outermost layer. Next, what are the functions of amnion? Amnion, which is the innermost layer. Okay, the embryo is freely immersed and bathed in the amniotic fluid. I said you, amnion will convert itself into amniotic fluid. In this fluid, the embryo will be freely bathing, okay, moving here and around. Hence the amniotic fluid functions as the artificial swimming pool of the embryo. As the amniotic fluid is more viscous and gelatinous, okay, watery and sticky, it functions as an efficient shock absorber. Okay, when there are some damage, okay, if the mother will fall, okay, if there is some accident, okay, there are some unknown, this one, that time what happens is, it helps as a shock absorber, in the sense, so the baby will not be harmed from those, okay, jumps or from those falls. Okay, thus the soft embryo is protected from external as well as internal mechanical pressure. Okay, here you can see the stages of the embryonic development after fertilization up to implantation. Okay, here you can see this is the secondary oocyte, this is the female gamete, and this forms the zygote after the process of fertilization. Okay, fertilization, this is day 1. Okay, and then zygote will divide mitotically to form 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, then morula. Okay, it is a mass of a cell, and then blastocyst. And what happens is, this blastocyst will enter inside the endometrium. On the day 7, implantation takes place. Here you can see the different layers: embryoblast, blastocyst cavity, and this is trophoblast. Okay, and this will try to enter inside the embryo. This is one most, you can see here in a very clear way. Okay, in A, what you can see is, this is the ovary. the egg is rupturing the ovarian wall and coming outside. So we call that process as ovulation. And then here you can see the zygote. This is the mature egg. And in B, here this part you can see sperm is coming and entering inside the egg. That is process of fertilization is taking place. And in the C, this is C, this and all is taking place in the infundibulum region of the uterus. Okay, and here oviduct, infundibulum region of the oviduct. And in the C you can see 2 cell stage, in D you can see 4 cell stage, E you can see morula, and this is F where you can see the blastocyst. Here implantation takes place. This is the structure of the blastocyst. Okay, E, F, and the outer trophoblast, and inner orange color or yellow color what you can see is the cell mass, and this blue color is the trophoblast, outer layer cell, and this is inner cell mass, and here you can see the cavity. Okay, stages. Again, implantation steps you can see. Uterine epithelium, this is stroma. Here, shedding of zona pellucida. Okay, and pre-contact blastocyst orientation. It is trying to come inside epitheliochorial and opposition cellular contacts. Here you can see how it is contacting. This is the epithelium. Okay, and this is the inner layer. And then adhesion molecule. Adhesion takes place, fixing, and then vascularization. Okay, where it will come inside, and then chemokinesis will take place, penetration to the endometrium. Okay, this is how it will be there. And here in this diagram we can see the early stage of implantation of human embryo. About 7 days after fertilization, the trophoblast is in the early stages of penetration of the endometrium. Okay, so this is the layer of the uterus. Okay, this is epithelium, and this is the inner uterine gland capillary, and this is endometrium, and this is your blastocyst. This is the outer covering, that is trophoblast, and inside you'll have a inner cell mass, and this is the cavity. You can see how the trophoblast is entering inside the epithelium and trying to move inside the inner layer, that is endometrium. Okay, this is about the implantation and the process. Okay, I will tell you what you have studied in today's class once again, and then we'll stop with this class. We have started with the implantation of the embryo. Okay, it is a process by which the blastocyst is attached to the uterine wall. Okay, and which uterine wall? To the inner uterine wall called as endometrium. And you have studied the different steps and processes, and implantation takes place on the 7th day after fertilization. You have to remember this. Okay, and you have seen the stages and functions of the amnion, and you have studied, okay, to tell you, trophoblast develops embryonic membranes, which are the 4 embryonic membranes. First is amnion, okay, then chorion, allantois, and yolk sac. Amnion is the innermost fetal membrane, which is filled with amniotic fluid. Chorion is outermost, which will develop into chorionic villi in the placenta. Okay, and allantoic and yolk sac will form umbilical cord. Okay, this is important. 4 embryonic membranes, and then stages in development after fertilization up to implantation. You have studied that. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F. You have seen. And the steps once again. Okay, this is how you have studied in detail. Okay, then early stages of implantation of human embryo. This can be seen in this particular diagram. Okay, with this I will be stopping today's class. So thank you, students.